The presidential pardon is one of the most amazing powers that a president has. A pardon is a power that a chief executive has to pardon people who are under investigation or who are charged with a crime or convicted of a crime. And it is usually done for one of two reasons. One, for the public welfare, and two, mercy. If you study the history of pardons, you'll find that they go as far back as the Code of Hammurabi and ancient Athens. So it's not a new thing for our country. And when it was debated by the founding fathers, the greatest advocate for the pardon was Alexander Hamilton. There was quite an extensive debate between Hamilton and George Mason of Virginia, who was opposed to the idea of a pardon. But Hamilton prevailed, and it became part of our Constitution. Hamilton's argument for a pardon was that there are times when the welfare of the government, of the state, requires it, so the government can move on. And he felt it was very important that the chief executive, the president, have that power. It's almost an unlimited power, but it does not give the president the power, for example, to wipe out an impeachment proceeding. It also does not apply to state action. So the president can pardon someone under federal investigation, but that power does not apply to state action. But the governor of a particular state would have a similar power. Now, it's important to understand the power is the president's, but the normal pardon route, it has been delegated to the Department of Justice. And there is a formal procedure by which you ask for a pardon. You have to file a petition. I think in recent times we see presidents granting pardons for reasons which are perhaps not in line with the intentions of Alexander Hamilton, for example. Recently, President Trump pardoned Sheriff Arpaio in Arizona, and it's sort of hard to see how that fostered the general welfare. President Clinton, in a very controversial pardon, pardoned Mark Rich, who was a fugitive financier. And nobody could really see the purpose behind it, and it caused a great deal of public outrage. On the other side, you had President Ford pardoning President Nixon because he said he wanted to get Watergate behind him, behind the country, and it was time to unify. And that seemed to be, at least in my opinion, a very legitimate exercise of the presidential pardon. President can pardon someone, and everyone might think, gee, that was not a wise use of power. But the Supreme Court can't do anything about it. Congress can't do anything about it. It's important for our national soul for amends to be made, and the president has that power.